Okay, so in this video, we are going to make a drawing which is more challenging to approach just based off of the value range that it has from the lightest light to the darkest darks. And when subjects are not as well lit, you have to use a charcoal to go really dark. You can use graphite, but this video is about combining graphite and charcoal, and you have to use charcoal to represent the areas which are not being hit by the light source. And charcoal is really fun that way, and if you know how to use it on top of graphite, then you can even avoid the problem of glazing. And as you can see, I am trying to use bigger brushes like I would if I was painting, and I am using them in selected areas where I know it's going to be really dark, and the parts where I know that I don't need to control edges like that. So on the face, I kind of made that mistake of using charcoal. I shouldn't really have, because I cannot control charcoal like that, and you need to have control over how your edges look like. But for the most part, where I know the subject is not receiving light, I'm just loading up the brush with charcoal powder and just kind of moving it in a way that I would if it was paint. I hope that makes sense. And even as I go forward into the drawing and go about refining my forms, I try not to think too much about the details. And that is kind of why I am averaging out values, especially in the areas where your eyes are not going to focus anyways. I've also used this blending stump for the dark areas and also lighter areas, and you kind of use it like a paintbrush. You just dip it into charcoal and it gets loaded with paint, and yeah, it's super dark. And if you have to go lighter, then you can have like a waste paper and just scrub the charcoal off, and then you can apply it to the desired area like this. Oh well, shit, that's dark. Well, it kind of takes like a couple of trials to get the value just right, but I've also experimented on not experimented, but yeah, I've tried to like have variations of the values, so the last sheet just looks like this. And before you commit to any drawing, just experiment with the materials and the kind of charcoal that you have. Experiment with vine charcoal, compressed charcoal, and also study about the pencils. I think it's very important, because whether or not you can add graphite on top of the charcoal and whether or not that looks good or not, it's something that depends on the kind of pencils that you have. So personally, I've noticed that graphite, like the pure graphite pencils, they don't work well on top of charcoal. No, graphite does, but if the graphite pencil does have carbon mixed in it, it can add and increase the value. And for anyone coming new to mixing graphite and charcoal, just have one basic rule in mind, that you don't use graphite on top of charcoal. Always add a layer of graphite. It's like that fat over lead method that we use in oil painting. Like, have the thinnest layer on the bottom and add like thick layers of paint on top of it. And these sketches don't really take up a lot of time, but they need you to be thinking analytically. And by that, I mean really notice the areas that you're drawing and try to understand how you can represent those areas in the quickest and the best ways possible, because these drawings are really small. And if you have an area which has really hard edges, then your eyes are naturally going to focus on that part. And another reason why I chose this subject is that it kind of challenged me to draw the face at a totally different angle. Like, it's not even that it's a different angle, just like the way that it's aligned. You're used to seeing and drawing faces when they are upright. And if you watched the video up until now, you've noticed like I'm not using a lot of pressure at anything unless I'm using a mechanical pencil and using it in a really tight area which is not receiving any light. And yeah, like I said, it does break the rule, and it comes at a cost. As you can see, this is the final drawing, and this is how it looks like at certain angles. And granted, it does look bad. It's not bad enough for me to lose sleep over. And yeah, if you are using a combination of both of these mediums for the first time, there are going to be a lot of failed drawings where you mess up the normal process, and there are going to be times where you break a rule and you discover something new that you are going to use in the future. It's just like a lot of hidden trials. And I think the probability of you failing it's so high that a lot of people they are reluctant to experimenting with other mediums. That's me and watercolors, by the way. Just like the pressure of knowing that you are going to make a drawing or a painting and knowing that it's going to suck and knowing that you have to repeat that process for a couple of dozen times at least until you get something that doesn't get you teary-eyed when you look at it, that makes you reluctant. But like fail forward and know that that is exactly how you are going to improve. Anyways, this is the final drawing. Probably should not have zoomed that much, but yeah, I hope you like it and I will see you in the next one.